We just got this beautiful mascot head out of Chad, who birthed the original idea of the mascot head. We're heading down to the rotary rink and throw this on and get a little stick handling action.
I'm working on mine.
My bitch a press a cut, little demon in the cut. Go raiding at the church. You moving wrong, we clutch. You slime, we sharing sluts. My twin is only us. Go platinum, fuck a budget.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of Live and Fucking Five, baby. As always, Jay Swish, joined by the captain, Gage, Ausmus. Folks, this is episode number 73, coming in hot. Today on the program, we have the CEO and founder of Just Dishin, an apparel and lifestyle-based brand or company doing amazing things out of Buffalo, New York. You know how much I love Buffalo, the chin of Chippewa Street. So Maddie Keeler stopped by from Just Dishin. Those guys, if you haven't checked them out on Instagram, go check them out. It is Just Dishin, so J-U-S-T, and then Dishin, like you're saucing a pill in hockey. So go check them out. They got really cool stuff. They're very just fashion-forward, Ozzo. It's streetwear. It's creative, like-minded individuals that have really been putting hockey, I guess, I don't know. I think out there a little more, but also just like giving hockey and people in and around hockey another avenue of let's progress this game a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And you know what, Jordo, it actually honestly reminds me a little bit like Butter Golf, trying to, do something different in the classic, I feel like golf and hockey were so set in stone on how everyone acted, and there's tradition there, and I don't know, it's just good to see. And like you said, I think you guys are both way early to the game. Like it will eventually go there, but there's definitely some hiccups that come along with being the first there before it's really accepted. And I would compare Melbourne golf with kind of what you're doing as well, like with Jason Day. By the way, I loved his outfit the other day.
Yeah, what did he have on?
He had on that Melbourne golf like quarter zip. Now it's hilarious because you go look at it. I was like, "Fuck, that thing's sick." I go look in their website. It's $455. Okay, that's good sheet.
How are you? Dust off the Amex.
But it was sick. It had like a silhouette of like a outdoor like desert golf course, and that was kind of the. And then his pants are different too. They never have like actual like fabric, the normal fabric you used to people wear, and there's just a little bit different. I just thought it looked nasty. Like no one else out there looks like that, and he still looked classy.
Yeah, I remember last year we talked about it when he went over to Melbourne and eventually made the switch from Nike over to what is a company that is streetwear, golf attire, but it's that mix between it's like LA culture with a little bit of West Coast swag and also just tying into street culture all over the place. And yeah, I think it was cool. He probably obviously got equity of that company to go over there because they couldn't pay him what Nike was paying him. But I'll have to check out that outfit, Ozzo, when I get around to it.
Yeah.
But let's do the ad reads here, folks. We are always brought to you by Butter Golf and Mini Movers. Mini Movers, the official moving company of Live and Five. If you need a free quote, you need something packed, you need something moved, you're moving across the city, you're moving across the Midwest, you're moving from Nebraska to Alaska. Well, fuck, for the right price, the captain might do it. Get a free quote from the captain on minimovers.com. Get them on its socials as well. That is Mini Movers on IG and X. And folks, again, we are always brought to you by Butter Golf. Butter Golf, the official lifestyle and apparel brand of Live and Five. Go check out butter.golf. We got our Forks hats on there as well as our newly restocked upside down rally black and tan butter hats. So go check those out. They won't last long. And you know what, Ozzo, our last ad read, and I've shortened it down a little bit, but it is Gladiator Therapeutics. If you need something from Gladiator Therapeutics, again, go over to www.gladiatortherapeutics.com and check that out. Again, that is the company working with Dr. George. They are truly innovative in the neurologic wellness space. So go check that out, folks, if you need any help with Parkinson's, different just nerve-related issues, Ozzo. And you know what? Dr. George is a good man. We'll have to have him on here soon, maybe the next calendar 6 months. But folks, before we get to Maddie Keeler from Just Dishin. Well, we always start it with the pre-show. Azo, right off the top, I wanted to just let you know how proud I am of the UND hockey team for still doing Palooza. This was the 13th year of Palooza over at Paradiso in Grand Forks. So why don't you give the listeners who haven't heard what Palooza is just a little in-depth analysis of what a fucking event it is.
It's incredible, and you do have to give credit to the founding fathers. I believe yourself, Jordan Schmaltz, Bryn Chiswick, Colton Sanderson. Who else was involved in creating that, Jordan? Was there another guy a little bit older than you helping you guys, or was it just strictly your class?
It was our class, and then Nick Matson was all in on the idea. So he kind of helped us put it together. And it's a spinoff, obviously, of Mitch of Palooza in old school, right? You want to throw a party for your buddy that just got broken up with. And it happened to be structured around Valentine's Day. And Azo, before you explain everything that was going on at Palooza, because you came the following year, is I was scrambling for a date. So all the boys would get a date, and you go over to Paradiso. You have a red carpet ceremony. You get dressed up. I was scrambling for a date. I didn't have anyone. I didn't have anyone on the lines. Usually that year, I was a single guy. I was just one and done type nights. By the time, I parted ways with that gal, we were not speaking terms. So it just is what it is, just being an idiot as a freshman. And so I didn't have anyone to really go on a date with. And all of a sudden, I got this gal who's going to go unnamed to commit. And she says, you know what? I'm in. I'm actually in Fargo right now, but she did go to the university. But I'll come back for it under one condition. I'm like, yeah, no worries. And at this time, Azo, Instagram wasn't really popping. It was like 2012, 2013. So I was messaging her on Facebook. And she was like, yeah, I'll come, but my friend has to come. So I go, okay, let's do it. So she saddles up on the I-29, heads north, meet us at the Anthill where the pregame festivities were going to be held because we were all in the dorms, but the older guys were kind enough to allow us to do the red carpet ceremony there. So we go over there. We meet all the dates. I end up having 2 dates. They don't add up to, I would say, no more than a 7. So one was a 3, one was a 4. Originally, the one I asked was probably the 4. The 3, she's like 24 years old. She was older and had braces. So I take these 2 to Paradiso, and we get off the party bus, get into Decio, and I look at Chiswick, who is sitting across the table, like on the way other end, and he comes up to me, and he's like, I'm not really vibing with my date. And I'm like, yeah, neither am I. He's like, you want to do a hockey trade? I go, yeah, I'll take your 1 for my 2. So I took Chiswick's 6, and his combined score was probably 7, and we had ourselves a fucking night. We had the first ever Palooza featured a date trade. I think that's the last time there was ever a date trade, Azo. So
yeah. I mean, we don't know what's been going on the past few years. Maybe that's happened. I don't know if that has. Maybe those guys maybe have tamed it back a little bit. Hopefully not, though. But yeah, I'll explain what it is, Jordo, for the listeners. It always happens. It works out really well because they probably schedule to have a bye week around this time, which always happens to be near Valentine's. So it's Valentine's Palooza, and the guys get together. Now, I don't know if they still do it at Paradiso, but that was the tradition. Every guy's got a recruited date. Now, some of them bring their girlfriends. A lot of the guys are single on the team. This was a stressful part of it because if you were single, Jordo, some of these guys, the guys especially who are single and didn't really wheel, it's like you can't come without a date. So you got to find a date. So it's tough for some of those guys. They might get maybe a girl who's already coming, invited by another guy, has a friend that, the other guy can invite. But you never knew who was going to be invited to this event. And it's everyone on the team. You all dress up like it's a formal, like at a frat or whatever. And you meet up. I mean, when we did it, we met up at the Hill or 420 house or the Pit, and you have a little party beforehand. And then you take everyone and you get them in a limo or a party bus and you drive over to Paradiso to have your meal for the night, which is hilarious because we're all in Paradiso. At the time they were serving all of us. I don't think I don't want to throw Paradiso under the bus here, Jordo, but I don't think they were carding any of us. Like, I think the first 2 years I went, I was not 21.
Yep.
And we were just sipping back margaritas the whole time. It was an unbelievable time. But like you said, I mean, the best part, and then we do these awards. You guys would do these awards, like best dressed, best looking couple, most likely to steal someone else's date or something.
Most likely to think this is more than friends. Most likely not to pay for his date. Most likely not to get laid tonight. Yeah, so I would always do the award ceremony is when you'd stand up, everyone, clank your drink, and you'd stand up and you'd give away, I would do like 10 awards, I think. But the best part was, Ozzo, is the gal that somehow every year would be there for like 3 in a row or 4 in a row. And by the time it got to my would have been senior year, there were gals that went 4 for 4. And yes, they still do it at Paradiso. Jake called me the other day and he's like, but when they were setting it up, he called Paradiso like 2 weeks in advance. It was probably, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And he's like, hey, we're going to be coming in for Palooza. They're like, yep, we already got you guys on the schedule.
That's unreal.
So
no way.
Yes.
Oh, that's all time. Yeah. And I mean, you know what was so fun about it, Jordo, is we had all these, we basically, when we're in school, there's this big group of girls that comes to every one of our parties, right? Like they're kind of there at every party. Now you'd get some new ones and in and out or whatever, but these parties we'd throw throughout the year, Jordo, like they were not tailored to be fun for a girl. It's like they're watching us play beer pong or flip cup or something. We didn't really tailor the parties to be fun for the girls, which this event, the girls were actually fired up. They're like, finally, we're going to dress up. We're going to take pictures. We're going to get on a party bus, and then we're going to have a meal. Like, this is going to be unbelievable. I don't think they knew about, like, the new girls coming in. They probably didn't know about the awards that we do and how big of a shit show it was. It's probably a lot worse than a formal at a frat, but yeah, and then the dinner was unreal, and then you'd get in the limo and you'd go back and have an after party just with the people at the party, and those were some of the funniest times because that's when the date flopping and like switching and you're trying to wheel some other guy's date. I think I think even I think it was my junior year, maybe my junior or sophomore year, I was kind of seeing this girl and I brought her to Palooza and actually told her like, yeah, it's not going to work out on that night because I thought another girl kind of looked hot that night. So I was like, if I think another girl looks hot, like it's probably not going to work out between us. Right. So I'm just going to end it right now. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I know it's Valentine's Palooza, so I do feel bad about that. I still got you roses and I bought your dinner, but this isn't going to go on any further because that girl, I don't know why, but she's looking hot tonight. And then I didn't even end up talking to that girl that night. So, but either way, I mean, that's the type of stuff that happens. It's just an unbelievable event. And I'm just so happy that the Sioux Boys are continuing on this tradition because it is, I mean, I don't know about you, Jordan, but it's probably the best tradition off the ice that we had going at North Dakota. Sure. Yeah. So
yeah. And you mentioned just that was always the funniest part is the single guys scrambling for a date. And I always like the guys that would look and think outside the box, like guys that would be messaging chicks maybe at St. Cloud or even a little further down the 94 at the University of Minnesota, maybe St. Thomas. And that was always such a big deal because when you're bringing new, fresh trim to the party, you're like, wow, who's that? I mean, you're looking at the you're right there at the red carpet ceremony at the house and everyone's getting their pictures with their dates. And back then I was a girlfriend guy. So I'd always be like, wow, like, who's that? Like, where'd you find her? Like,
where'd you get her? Oh, DM.
Yeah. And then usually if you could get one of those gals to come in on a professional tryout from out of town, she's probably bringing a friend. And then her friend piggybacks off maybe another single guy. So those two guys are running a tandem. And the best thing is you're just like, you're sitting at Paradiso in a goddamn suit. And Paradiso, I mean, no disrespect, is probably a secondhand store Chili's, right? So you're sitting there, and I don't even know in the 3 years I went, Ozzo, I ever really ate. Like I think I was just
maybe some chips.
Salsa.
Yeah.
I would always order the fajitas because I thought it was a funny joke. It was just kind of like my running bit to myself, but I would never actually touch them, I don't think. Like,
no, you weren't going there to eat, and no one was hungry when we went there. And
no,
I remember some guys, some of the younger guys, but as we were doing it my junior, senior year. Some of the younger guys are just drank a little too much and they're making a commotion at Paradiso. I'm like, hey, buddy, like you're fucking 20. Like,
yes,
calm her down here. You're gonna get us booted out of here, you idiot. You know, like, and that's all part of it. It's unbelievable. And yeah, like some of those girls coming in on the official visits for Palooza was always so funny because either they really hit it off and they love everyone there and they're having the time of their life, or they're like, these guys are animals. Like, what the hell's going on? And they're having a terrible time. And it's equally as good of a time if they're having a good time or a terrible time because it's funny either way.
Yeah. I always like to see just how the girlfriends reacted to the new fresh faces coming in. It's like, oh my God, who's that? She's dressed slutty. It's like, bitch, your dress is skimpier than hers. You know, just relax. She's showing it off. This is Valentine's Day at Palooza. The best story I heard out of Palooza, I think, was 2 years ago. And Jake was maybe I don't know if he was a sophomore or a junior, one of the two. Obviously a senior now. So I think it was 2 years ago. So he was a sophomore. And this guy, historically, for the second year in a row, his tradition was to break up with his girlfriend at Palooza. And he did it back-to-back years. And the thing is not only did he break up, he broke up at the table, got back with her at the table, and then broke up again. So it was just like the amount of times that they were on, off, on at Palooza. Yeah. And it happened. He said it was like deja vu the next year. He did the exact same thing. So like, imagine having a tradition of just getting a couple getting so shit-faced that they break up while the guacamole is not even plated yet. That's just all time.
It's all time. That's what it's all about. And for the listeners who I don't know if we have any listeners who won't like kind of understand this, but yeah, none of these relationships were really serious at the time that we're talking about, you know, the switching off and it was all fun and games. And yeah, those relationships, when you're breaking up at the dinner table and then getting back together, those don't typically work out in the end, Jordo. I don't think you end up marrying that girl. No,
I'm not sure if that's exactly what we call love to laugh.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how it was always. The awards were great, and then the party after was always just a shit show because it was always like a couple getting in a fight, and then there was you know, maybe another date saw something in a guy or a girl, and like we said, it's just like love is when you're at Palooza, it's truly just a one of a kind experience, and with love in the air when it's -40 and you're going to some shitty but beautiful Mexican restaurant, it just hits different, man.
It does. I mean, when you're at Paradiso and you're there with your date that said yes to coming, you know what? There's a little bit of part of you during that day that you're like, I think I might love you. You know, like at least right now I do. So, and that counts.
Yeah, I mean, I my first year ever went, I told the chick I loved her. The second year, yes, and the third, I think, as well. So, I mean, it just puts you into that vibe of I'm going to say something, number one, because I'm horny, and two, I want to be a part of this. This is bigger than me. This is just love at all different angles. And just the best part is just getting all the guys together and getting dressed up. And as big of a joke as it is, it's still so funny. And I can't believe they're still doing it, man. 13 years later, that's crazy to me. And I hope it keeps going because I do think at this point it is a staple of off-ice events for UND hockey.
It is. You know, my junior year, Jordo, actually, I do have to confess, and I got a lot of shit for this, but we got swept by Denver the weekend before, and I canceled it.
That's right. So is this only 12 years?
Yeah, it might be 12. I had to cancel. I still don't know if that was the right call. I mean, things turned out obviously great at the end of the year, but I still think we didn't need to cancel it. But the funny part is Keaton Thompson and John Simonson still went forward with it that year. So technically there was a Palooza. They still got their dates into town and went out to the restaurant and ate.
No way.
Yeah, so I think still they carried on with the tradition. But especially for this year, Jordo, like you're having such a tough year up in North Dakota and Grand Forks right now. Like you need that. I think it's going to help them. It's going to help them the rest of the year.
I think so too. Wait, so you canceled Palooza the year you guys won it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Who'd you get?
Well, we hadn't lost a game all year, Jordo, and then we lose 2 in a row, and then
to who?
Denver, and I'm like, fuck, what do we do now? Like we're all panicking. I'm like, fuck, we're not doing Palooza. We just lost we didn't know what lose. We didn't even think we could lose at the time. We
Right.
lose 2 in a row, and we're like, fuck, I'm panicking now, And I obviously it was kind of a hard old play. I'm like, fuck, I'm a leader on this team. I better we can't just dick off after 2 losses in a row. Can't do it. And I still kind of regret that.
Damn. I mean, it worked out in the end. You got the bender that you needed, but fuck. Death, taxes, and paloozas. Those are like 3 non-negotiables of life.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. Well, Azo, I'm doing this fast right now. And I'm on as we're recording, I'm not going to lie. I was going to say I just finished it, but we're recording here for the people at 2:44 on Wednesday. By the time these people hear it, I will be completed with my fast, my 72-hour water fast. I've been doing electrolytes when I need in my water, limiting everything else. I haven't done the bone broth. I bought 3 packs of bone broth. I thought I would need it. I haven't used it. I've been holding strong. But man, it's crazy. Just like everything that your body is capable of. And I don't even know why I really wanted to do it. I just wanted to put my chin to another test. And then on Sunday in Vegas, I had a double burger day, which kind of led me to finally completing a mission like this. I'd always wanted to do it. I wanted to try it. Obviously, I've read the benefits of it. I've heard Dana White talk about it, Joe Rogan, all these guys talk about the benefits of a 72-hour water fast, but it's crazy, man. Like you'll get energy and you'll get clarity, and then you'll be like in a fog, and then you'll have like a pounding headache, and then you'll kind of lose energy. Like it's really crazy what your body can do without food for this long. I mean, people do fast for 7 days, 15 days, 20 days, but I think I like food that too much, but I haven't had that like coming to God moment where people talk about like your clarity. Now, however, my focus is insane right now. Like day 3, my focus has been unbelievable. The thing that's kind of crazy that I wanted you to touch on is at night. I think we're just such hardwired as humans and mammals, like especially dating back to the first ever humans, is like I feel like I'm in hunting mode at night. Like I got to go find something. Like at that time, the last 2 nights at about 3 a.m. when I'm wide awake, I feel like I could do an Ironman. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one, Jordo, I did want to mention, you look good. The face looks clear. You look good. You sound good. So I was wondering how you're feeling this time. Obviously you go through ups and downs. I've never done a 72-hour. I've done a 48-hour fast before. But I've heard that 72 is kind of the mark you got to get to. But yeah, I was reading some study, Jordo. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but this scientist back in the day, he used to lock himself in a dark cave for 60 days. Like he wouldn't see sunlight. So he doesn't know when the sun's rising, when he should go to bed. There's no time in there. And the body naturally, what he found in his studies is the body naturally is on a 48-hour cycle. We're just used to like when the sun goes down, we got to go to bed. But if there is no sun and no time, our body is more naturally, we're awake for like 48 hours and then we take like a 10-hour, 12-hour nap or go to sleep for that amount and then stay awake for another 48. That was his cycle when he didn't even know what time it was, where the sun was at, so it's interesting you say that because that's how our bodies are wired, and if you look at animals too, most of them don't do shit during the day and they're all roaming around at night.
Right. And at the same time, like the things I've been reading, Azo, it's just like food is so accessible and it's so ready for you to grab, and your body, when you put food into it, it relaxes. So when you're able to like stress it out to a point of this, when you start burning tons of fat that's stored in your liver per se, cells start to repair. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy to think like, most people, especially way back, you maybe ate 1 time a day. And now it's like we're programmed to eat like 5 times a day. It's like snacks, chocolates, just a quick little buzz of a Snickers. And then it's over to, something else like bread that contains a ton of sugar or grains. And I don't know. I've been thinking a lot just because like your mind is like literally like buzzing, especially the last few days. You just feel like you're ready to go. Like you're ready to fuck. But it's crazy just to think about like your appreciation of what food is and what you put in your body. And look, I'm not fucking, Gary Brecka over here, or a holistic life coach, but
Yeah.
it does give you a different perspective. That's probably the biggest thing I've noticed, is just like, it makes you cognizant, or at least for me over the last few days, to reflect on like what you're putting in your body, whether that's fucking booze, food, or chew, or cigarettes.
And now if you were to go eat like a burger, you'd probably feel like you're going to be on your deathbed.
Oh yeah.
Like you do. I think once you do that stuff, you realize when you do eat something that's not good for you, you're like, holy fuck, I actually feel terrible. So that's when you realize most Americans who are on this diet every day, like, they don't even know what it feels like to feel good.
No,
like they have no idea. They haven't felt actually good in like what, 30, it could be for some of them 30 years.
Yeah, you just get used to just feeling shitty because you're just stuffing fried food in your barrel. You're stuffing just whatever. You're not even thinking. It's the donut in the morning. It's 4 creams, 4 sugars in your coffee, and you're ready to rock. And by 5 o'clock hits, you're pounding down Bud Lights.
Yeah, and then I talk to these people sometimes who are like, no, I need to eat breakfast and lunch and dinner or else I'll get a headache. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, just try not to eat breakfast and fast until lunch. And he's like, well, I'll get a headache. So like my body's, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not good for me. I get a headache. It's not good for me. I'm like, well, yeah, you know what? When an alcoholic who drinks every day of the year stops drinking for a day, he also gets a headache. But you know what? That's probably a good thing.
Yes.
Because sometimes your headache, you got to get worse to get better. Sometimes that headache is a good thing.
Yeah. And I think even just going through this and like putting yourself or your chin or your body just to a different test, it's like, you now know that you don't need that quick little fix of pulling over for Arby's. You can wait 3 or 4 hours. You can have just water, or you can have a black coffee. It's just, in that sense, it's like, you don't need that quick little rush of a little hit, because it might make you feel a little better temporarily, but in an hour, when your body starts really breaking down things, you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah, you're going to feel awful. And we didn't even touch on, Jordo, which I think is one of the things too, is discipline.
Yes.
Like, once you make it through that 72 hours, like, you feel, if you do feel discipline on something, like you felt like, oh man, I was disciplined there. Like, I wanted to do something. I didn't do it because I had discipline. That's a powerful feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gutting down the next, I got about, I only got 6 hours left, less than 6 hours. So yeah, fella, I'm going to make it. I just don't know what I'm going to go in.
Yeah, what are you going to go into after?
My first meal? I think it's going to be, I've had it planned in my head. I think it's got to be like a chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
And maybe some plain chicken, or like a grass-fed ground beef and rice or something like that. Just something like
nice and simple.
Yeah, like, holistic, but just like, I'm craving like some meat right now. I mean, I've done the ground beef challenge. I might just dive into that. I'm not going to take down a full pound right away. I might divvy that up a little bit, but that's kind of what sounds good right now. Like, just some like holistic, easy, just, throw it on the fucking pot or the pan and just muck it.
Yeah. I was thinking, if I was you right now, I think in my head, I'd be thinking like a ribeye steak, just that's it. Like, no sides, just that steak.
Yes. Listen, I talked to a guy that actually played in the MLB before I did this, and he was saying, we were just doing a cold sauna, a little flush the other day, and he was talking about, he has done a 5-day water fast. Also, this guy has also done a 3-day no water, no food fast. Like, you're pretty much on the verge of dying.
You're close, aren't
you?
No water for 3 days?
No water for 3 days. Oh. Some Russian scientist that he was studying up on, apparently, and he said that was like the most badass thing he's ever done.
I'm gonna take a drink of water now. That makes me thirsty.
Isn't that crazy? We were like, bro, you're like 2 days away from dying, especially in the desert when it's so dry.
Oh yeah, water. I didn't even know you could do that without water. Now I know food. Like, there was a guy. I think in the Guinness World Record book, there's this guy who made it like over a year just drinking water, no food. I think he had vitamins and stuff, but he made it over a year with no food. So like, insane. No food is possible, but I think the Guinness World Record of like someone who hasn't drank water is like 6 days or something before they die.
Yeah. Dude, I went, just speaking of just health and wellness, whatever, I went and got my blood done. for the first time since I stopped playing, and just wanted to get just where my benchmarks were. And I go in there, and they tell you all about just different your iron levels to this and that to testosterone. So testosterone was the biggest one I was kind of just fired up for. I was like, fuck, I got to be pushing like 2,000 or whatever that benchmark is.
Yeah.
And I get my numbers back, and I'm like, it's like below optimal, above optimal, too high. And I'm like, getting in there, like thinking like, I work out a bunch, whatever, just feel like I'm a kind of like a guy's guy or whatever. And my number came back, and it was like just above optimal. It was like above optimal. I was so choked. I was like, no, I'm only at 750 or whatever it was. I'm like, fuck this. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
How do you get those up though? Like, there's so many ways. You eat meat, I think, is one way. You can take testosterone, but like, do you want to do that?
I don't think I would. I mean, that's still relatively in a good space. I just thought I was going to be in there. I'd be the 4-digit club. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like one of those meatheads walking around Planet Fitness. But yeah, I think it's like it comes down to legit getting testosterone replacement. I think there are pills or supplements that can help it out. I think diet and lifestyle. I mean, I'm pretty good on that. But he also was telling me that booze really hurts the testosterone.
Yeah,
and it's not like I'm throwing a ton, but I mean, if you have a couple 20 drink efforts, and that can happen to anyone, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think I'm willing to risk some testosterone to have a couple of those fun booze nights.
Yes.
That's something I'm willing to give.
Yeah, it was just funny. But Azo, the Super Bowl is set. We're going to head over to the gridiron here, my friend. The Super Bowl is set. Patty Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. That is the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, my God, that money line Commanders bet that I was dishing out. Holy fuck. Take another fucking ambo, Swishy. Holy, you were sleeping on that one. But, I mean, I think this is as expected, right? Josh Allen, he ain't going to go into Arrowhead and get it done. I think we all knew that. Even the good people of Buffalo knew that. We talked to Keels, a good Buffalo native, little Buffalo native himself on that front. But I just think that was kind of set in stone, no?
It was set in stone. And I feel bad. I really feel bad I'm not sure I feel bad for the Buffalo Bills. I do feel bad for the city of Buffalo because, they want it, and Kansas City gets it every year. But I feel bad for Josh Allen in particular, Jordo, because if you've watched the last, I think he's 0-4 against Mahomes in the playoffs. If you watch all 4 of those games, he plays just as good as Mahomes, maybe even a little better, and he loses them. And you just got to feel for him. Like, when I watch the two play, I'm like, is Mahomes that much better than Josh Allen? It's just Mahomes has a better head coach. He's got a better defense every year. It's just like, I feel for him, man, because it's like, what else can he do? He's fucking chucking dimes out there. I know he had a couple turnovers, but he can sling it, man. He drops that ball into a basket sometimes.
Yeah, so I mean, right now, is Josh Allen a modern day Phillip Rivers minus the 12 kids?
Yeah, I mean, modern day Phillip Rivers, I'd say I want to compare him more to like Peyton Manning because I think he's better than Phillip Rivers.
So you think he's going to get one?
I think he'll get one, but like the reason why he's not going to have 3 to 4 is because of Pat Mahomes, which is Peyton Manning would have had how many if it weren't for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick?
Right. But I just think in this time right now,
without one,
I think the only guy that can beat him, Patty Mahomes, is Joe Burrow. I truly don't think Allen, those guys can beat him. At Arrowhead,
no.
I don't think they can do it.
No. I think if it's in Buffalo, I'm not going to say they can't do it. There's no way they're going to win a game at Arrowhead. There's no way.
No. And I think
I don't think any team is. I mean, Joe Burrow did it once. So
I think Burrow could do it with the right squad. I think Burrow is the guy that just has that moxie, has that swagger. Because if you're going in there, Ozzo, like you got to play so much better than Patty Mahomes. Like you can't play a little better. You can't play on par with him. That defense is way too good. And if it's somewhat of an even game, they're somehow going to get the ball with about 30 seconds left and at least drive it down for 3.
Yeah. And you know what, Jordan, we were talking about this game too. A lot of people are like, I'm rooting for the Bills, which, I was rooting for the Bills too. But At the same time, how can you not respect what these Chiefs are doing right now?
So
it's unbelievable. It's crazy. And I know, like, the only reason I bring it back to this, like, once you win a championship, how hard it is to bring yourself back up to that motivation level the next year to try to get back there, because you are kind of like, fuck, I got a ring, dude. Like, I don't need to, like, go the extra mile. A lot of guys will think that. And the fact that they're able to get back there this many times, it's just, you got to respect it. I don't know how you can possibly hate on it.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we're witnessing greatness. It's like the play calling from Andy Reid, and then you have Steve Spagnuolo, who brings the absolute auto blitz every time it's third down in a country mile or third down in 1. It's like, how do you beat these guys? Like we were saying, you literally have to go into Arrowhead and fucking put on a piss pumping show just to maybe, like, you have to almost play a perfect game to beat those guys.
You do, and you have to hope for the Chiefs to make a bunch of mistakes, like the Washington Commanders did in that game. I mean, 3 or 4 fumbles, and I mean, that was just, come on. We're in the NFC Championship. You can't. How are you fumbling this many times?
That was nuts, because I actually thought they had a decent start to that game. I was like, wow, my bet's looking pretty good. I'm sitting at Encore. I'm like, fuck, yeah, we're gonna cash out on this thing, baby.
I honestly thought they actually played better. They were the better team. They just fumbled the ball 3-4 times. It's like, you're not gonna win doing that.
No, I mean, that was insane. Philadelphia, though, blow the whistle, Gilly. I just love that celebration after every time they've been winning on this run with Too Short, blow the whistle. Yeah. He's like dancing like a bird. It's just, I die for those snaps, those stories. You know what? The crazy thing is, Ozzo, is I don't even like the Chiefs. Jackson Mahomes, he can fuck off with his TikTok. Patty Mahomes Sr., he's played the MLB, if you've ever heard of that. They only say it every other word on the broadcast. But I'm in like a weird state of, I think I'm actually rooting for the Chiefs. Like, I think I am.
Oh, 100%.
It's weird to say that. And it's like, this is like the most hated team.
I am rooting for the Chiefs. I just respect them so much. And I actually like the Philadelphia Eagles players. Like, I don't mind Jalen Hurts. I like how serious he takes it. I like Saquon Barkley. I like their O-line. They're dogs. I hate their fans, man. Like, the way they act around Philly, I also kind of respect it. I want to be them. Maybe that's why I hate them. But it's just like, I do not want to see I'd rather see these Chiefs fucking idiots celebrating a 3rd Super Bowl than the Philly to be happy after the Super Bowl's over.
Yeah, at least you got the good drunk people of the Midwest from Kansas City just eating beef brisket and just funneling bourbon. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just something about those Philly scumbags coming in and just causing a ruckus in New Orleans. And
they already got enough confidence. They don't need any more.
Yeah, they're just total scumbags. Did you see that one clip of like all the Philly fans dancing around that Commanders fan and like ultimately like takes his hat off and like chucks it? It's like, you already won the fucking game. You piss pumped him. Why are you taking the guy's hat?
He's already suffering. Like, just let him be.
He's not going to fight you either. He's fat, overweight, and you're surrounded by 30 Eagles fans. Like, come on.
It's like that Simpsons clip. Like, stop. He's already dead. You know, he's kicking him when he's already dead. It's like, come on.
100%. Ozzo, I want to go over to the ice quickly. The biggest news out of hockey right now, other than the Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, like soap opera we've touched on, is Alex Pietrangelo pulls out, no diddy, of the Four Nations Cup, the Fake Nations Cup, due to injury. Now, Alex Pietrangelo, a 2-time Stanley Cup winner, future Hall of Famer, has every right to pull out of the tournament due to injury, but I just found it was hilarious that he actually played 24-22 time on ice the day he pulled out of playing for the Four Nations. So clearly, whatever is hurting him doesn't hurt that much, fella.
No, I was when I saw that, I was like, oh, what a veteran play by Alex Pietrangelo there. Like, you got to think, I know these guys love playing for their country, Jordo, but a Four Nations tournament, it ain't the Olympics, it ain't the World Championships or, you know, the last tournament they did.
Yeah, World Cup.
The World Cup, it's Four Nations. You don't even have Russia there. Like, what? I was thinking, like, how many other guys were like, fuck, I'm going to pull off an injury. Like, because they had 2 weeks off. Like, you want to go, you want to have 2 weeks on your break to go play high-paced hockey? Like, Yeah, maybe McDavid does, but I don't know about the other guys.
Yeah, and it's just like I'm 34 years old. We're gearing up to win a cup. I've won 2 cups. I've played in the Olympics. I've played World Championships. I've played World Juniors. This tournament, there's no incentive money-wise. I think they may be getting them like 50 to 100 grand if you win. Like, that's peanuts for a guy that's made 70 million. Yeah, I'll be in Turks and Caicos. We're actually going to take the old private bird down there. And if you need me, let me know. Like, I'm a big believer in save the body. Like, I'm just really intrigued, Ozzo. Like, how hard are you actually going to be playing in this tournament? Mid-season just, I mean, unless it's the Olympics, just doesn't make any sense to me. I know it's a money grab, but it's just like,
I mean, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to watch it. It's great for the game of hockey, but you think about these players in their side of the story. How? I mean, do you even want to go?
Is Sam Bennett going to run someone through the glass, or is he just like?
I mean, I'm sure they're competitors. You know as well as I do. You hop onto that pond and you start playing, and you get out there, and you're like, I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to laugh around. And then before you know it, you're two-handing a guy in the back of the knee because you're pissed off. That's just what happens if you're a competitor. But yeah, I mean, and not to think about their head coaches of all these teams and the GMs. Like, what if my guy gets injured? Like, we're trying to win a cup and they're going to play a Four Nations tournament.
Right. I know. That's what I'm so curious to see the product on the ice. I do think when you have enough psychos on the ice, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Whether it's a men's league game or it's on the pond or it's 3 a.m. in your backyard. Like, these guys, they're there for a reason. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, how rattled would you be if you lost your best player for the rest of the year and he's not able to play in the Stanley Cup final, theoretically, if your team makes it there? And that's like your only chance of a window to do it. Like,
not even as a team, but the player itself. Like, think about, how does McDavid feel if he gets an injury in this tournament? I mean, he doesn't give a shit about the Four Nations. He's trying to win a cup.
Yeah, and it's just like there's so many good players outside of these countries where these guys are just going to be resting and chilling. Like
Leon Draisaitl and all the Russians that are unbelievable. I mean,
that's what I mean. And the Slovakians and the Czechs.
And all the Germans. You got some of the Swiss guys are nasty now. It's like they're all just resting up.
Right. It's like it's almost becomes a disadvantage for these guys that play. Now, look, they're not, I wouldn't say more so physically, but mentally, like, you're gearing up for, like, you're playing in the Olympics. Like, that's taxing, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And obviously, and you're thinking about, I mean, I think once you're a fan, Jordo, you don't fully realize the mental warfare that the player is going through constantly throughout the season, no matter how good you are.
Yes.
If you had one bad play in a game, you're constantly thinking about it. It's to not have a break from that mental warfare would be tough.
Yeah, and it's in Canada, and if you're Canadian, you're expected to win, but the U.S. has got a great team. The Swedes are sneaky, and the Finns play like Finnish soldiers. It's no easy task out there over at the Four Nations. But yeah, like you said, as a fan, fuck, if you're just an asshole pulling up to the bar, drinking 10 beers and watching hockey, it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, if I'm a fan and I never played before, I'd be like, the fuck, why aren't these guys trying? Fucking hit someone, Like, kill them. Come on. It's like, these guys are in the mid-season, and now they're on a different team, playing on a team with a couple of guys they probably hate because they're rivals with them during the season, and you're mad at them for not trying to kill each other.
How funny is it when the media guys too they just start throwing out the tweets of, oh yeah, we saw Matej Tkachuk, he was using his USA gloves. It's like, or Aiden Hill was breaking in his Four Nations pods today. It's like, yeah, fella, no shit. They're gonna play in 10 days here. These boys at some time got to break these things in, and
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, no, they're breaking them in right now. Yeah, I thought they'd break them in the first game.
No, yeah, I thought they'd have them out at training camp. I thought they'd actually wear them in a game. That's crazy. Wait, they don't just wear them and stick handle them at home? Oh, that's weird. So funny. Ozzo, I want to go over to the one hitter of the week. We're going to stay on the ice, but I wanted to ask you, the blockbuster trade over the weekend, Mikko Rantanen, going over the Carolina Hurricanes, coming back the other way was Martin Necas, silky smooth right shot winger, as well as Jack Jury, and a couple picks. Now, on paper, to the naked eye, I would say the Colorado Avalanche got fleeced a little bit. That is no disrespect to Martin Necas, but the Moose, Mikko Rantanen, has been top 5 in scoring over the last 5 seasons and theoretically is the best winger in hockey. So I wanted to ask you, does Mikko Rantanen re-sign with Carolina? Because if he doesn't, Carolina almost gets fleeced.
Yeah. I would say this trade was weird to me, Jordo, because you've got Colorado, what it seems like they don't care about winning a cup this year. They're just looking to be good the next years after that and be set up for success later, which you got a cup winning team right now. Why not try to go win a cup? So I think they're fine for next year. I mean, they're certainly looking good for next year because they wouldn't have been able to keep Rantanen on contract. So they got something for him. I just don't like them we don't want the cup this year, so we'll just be decent next year. Like, what do you mean? You can win a cup this year. That's what it's all about. You never know when you're going to have a good enough team to win a cup. And then you're at Carolina. If he doesn't re-sign there, I mean, you are screwed.
You're fucked.
Like, what do you do? I mean, it's crazy.
But if you're Rantanen, unless Carolina is re-signing you at least 12.5, 13 million.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a discount. He could go to Chicago and get 15 a year if he wanted.
Oh, yeah.
And why wouldn't you test the UFA market if you've never been an unrestricted free agent and Colorado just made you one? It was so weird because Colorado, like, they were saying that he kind of outbid his price, but then Mikko's side in a Finnish newspaper was saying, I was willing to take a haircut, and this move kind of came out of the blue.
Yeah.
Strange things. And don't you think
it's weird?
Don't you think if you're Chris McFarland, the general manager of the Colorado Avalanche, and Joe Sakic, now the president, wouldn't you have gone and asked Nate and Kale and even Landeskog, like, hey, boys, like, you know what? We might not be able to re-sign Moose in the offseason, but we want to keep him here for the better part of this year to try to win a cup. And they would say, you know, I just think, like, you got to bounce those ideas off your best players, because when they're, you know, struck by lightning and taken off guard or caught off guard, it's like, man, like, you couldn't even come to us and ask.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was the case. You'd like to think they would talk to them.
McKinnon said he had no idea.
No idea.
No idea.
It's just that to me, that's insane. I don't know. I don't know. And then I like to think on the Carolina side, them going forward with this trade, they've got to have a really good idea that he's going to sign with them, because they got to think like Sebastian Aho is a Finnish guy or whatever, and he's really good friends with Rantanen or whatever. And they got to think, you know, that's a big selling point for them to sign him. Like, they got to feel pretty comfortable making that trade, that he is going to sign an extension, which maybe is the case. Like, if it's not, what the fuck are you doing? You know, is he going to turn you into a cup contender this year? I don't know. I just don't know. It was a weird trade. I never expected that one.
Yeah, and they obviously got the best player in the trade in Moose.
Yeah.
Again, the best winger in hockey, I think. And there is that Finnish connection with Kakaniemi. You have Aho. You have a few other Finns there. Juha Jaska, who I play with in Helsinki. So there are Finns to go around, and plenty of them over there in Carolina. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get that done. I think he's going to have to get acclimated into life in Carolina. It'll probably come down to if they go on a run or not, how his wife likes it. Like, there's a lot of different factors of doing a move like this. Like last year, for example, when they traded Goodwill Bunting over to Pittsburgh, not as big of a move, but coming back the other way was Jake Gensel. And Jake Gensel didn't re-sign with the Carolina Hurricanes, which maybe they thought he would have.
Yeah. And what is the incentive for him to sign there? You know, like,
they'd have to throw him a huge number.
He's got his pick of the litter, right? Like, after this year's over, he can sign anywhere that can afford him, right? So maybe they think they have the best chance at signing him. But like, Jordo, he's going up against Chicago. Why does he want to play in Chicago?
Yeah. The only thing that Carolina would have going for him is they can offer him the extra year. So they can offer him the 8-year deal because he would be re-signing with his team versus the 7-year max on the other side of it going to UFA. But at that point, it's like, okay, well, I can cancel that out with just a higher AAV, where if Chicago offered me $15 million and Carolina's only offered me 12.6 or 13 or whatever it may be, that doesn't really factor in. And what does that even really factor in anyways when you can get 110 million versus 95 or 100? You know what I mean? It's just
yeah. I mean, I know it all adds up, but yeah, it was a risky. I honestly didn't like it. Carolina, I guess, you take a shot. I like teams taking a shot. The Avs trading him, though, was just like, isn't that a slap in the face to Makar and McKinnon a little bit? Like,
absolutely.
How many chances do you have to win a cup? And they have kind of the lineup to win a cup. Now I would say they ain't going to win the cup this year.
No, unless they got something in the works.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't sound like Crosby's willing to move. No, you could replace a couple centermen down the middle. We've talked about Middlestat, but you just gave up a guy that scored 50 goals and played well with.
It's like the Oilers trading Draisaitl to be better next year.
Right. Like
what?
And say you lost out early and it didn't work out. You could still get Rantanen to a spot where you're not going to get Natius for him, but you could get something back for him and before UFA. Like if he wanted to sign somewhere, you could be like, okay, we'll trade him here. He gets the extra year. You give us something back in return. Now you're not getting Natius, who's on pace for 90 points and a hell of a winger in himself, a very creative player. I do like his game, but I would rather risk and mortgage the future for the now and try to win versus just fold right away in January. To me, it just seemed horny. To me, it seemed really immature and horny to be like, we're not coming to a deal. You're out of here.
Yeah, it seemed like almost to me like you're playing GM mode on NHL and you're like, fuck, I'm going to be playing this for the next 2 years. So in those 2 years on NHL 24, I'm going to probably go through like 25 seasons. So I want to be better the next 7 seasons. I don't care about winning the cup right now. I just want to be good the next 7 seasons, when it's like, this ain't NHL, buddy. This is like, you got to take your chances at winning the cup, man.
For sure. So, yeah, we'll see how that unfolds. But, folks, we're going to go over to the People's Insider Term of the Week. And the People's Term of the Week is, if you can't tone it, tan it. And, Azo, what that means is if you're fat as shit, you're lazy, and you don't feel like getting in the gym, well, at least go to the pool, get some vitamin D in you, and fucking tan that barrel. So if you can't tone it, if you can't tone it in the gym over at Planet Fitness or LA Fitness, or maybe you're sliding into Lifetime or Anytime or Snap Fitness, one of these places where you can't get your work in, you're just lazy as hell, you like drinking way too much, you like just having fun too much, you like a 7-layer dip, you like the nachos, you like the buffalo wings, you like the cheese curds, you like Culver's, root beer floats, all of that, fella, well, fuck it. Just get yourself somewhere south. Go over to Cancun, Mexico for a 4-day, 3-night beach vacation and just tan your barrel. Get that Diddy oil out and just soak yourself, because you know what? At least at that point, Azo, you have a nice stock tan, my friend.
Oh, it always works too, Jordo. When I went on my vacation, I went in very pale, and I was weighing in at like 214. Okay, and then I got a good tan in down there, and I left Jordo at 225. I put on 10 pounds over vacation. I look skinnier because I was fucking tan. Okay,
you look more jacked.
I look great. I was like, fuck, I might be way fatter right now, but I look great.
That's the best part about it, is because when you have that base layer of a tan and maybe you have a little hair on your chest or in and around your barrel, it kind of outlines maybe some abs that are not there. But if the sun hits it in a weird way, it kind of maybe, you're sitting there and it kind of looks like you might have something you don't.
Oh yeah, 100%. It just does you favors. Same thing with wearing black. If you want to look slim, wear black, folks.
Folks, that is the People's Insider Term of the Week. Azo! Last but certainly not least, we're going to go over to the nail gun of the week. Do you have a nail gun, my friend? I can start us off if you want me to.
Yeah, no, I mean, my nail gun of the week was it's just going to be Josh Allen. I feel for the man. He gives his all out there on the gridiron. It's just unfortunate. I feel for those guys, Jordo, who, are right there to being, the best, but they just got that one guy in front of them who is like, you ain't going to be the best. It's like Philly Mickelson during Tiger Woods years. Like, I just felt so bad for Philly. It's like, you're growing up and you're coming up in any other time. You're probably the number one golfer in the world. You got way more trophies, and you just got this guy named Tiger Woods in front of you, and Josh Allen's got Patrick Mahomes in front of him. And he's my nail gun of the week. He gives it all every time he puts on a show for the fans. I love the way he plays ball. So Josh, and also he's kind of stealing my look, Jordo. He's got a beard, long hair. I saw him in the old hat walking off the field, and I'm like, "Fuck, is Josh stealing my look?" Like, you never want to be the Kmart version of an NFL quarterback. So that's kind of why I don't have any facial hair now. I don't want people to mix me up for the Kmart version of Josh Allen, but he's my nail gun of the week.
I love that, and it's like almost like Talladega Nights, right? Where Cal Naughton Jr. in the early days with Ricky Bobby's like, "Hey man, like, could you ever just maybe let me win?" He's like, well, then I wouldn't be first. He's like, "Yeah, man, you're right. Sorry I even asked."
Yeah. Well, then how am I supposed to take first if you're taking first? Yeah, no, you're right. A stupid question.
Yes, stupid question. That is such a good scene.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. That is all time. Fuck. All right. Well, my nail gun of the week, and I don't know if we touched on it last week, but I certainly didn't give him the nail gun of the week. I don't think. I talk a lot, so who fucking knows? But my nail gun of the week, nonetheless, if it is a two-time offender or defender, so be it. I'm giving it to Barack Obama. Barack Obama is honestly an early candidate for Wrench of the Year. Azo, he was sliding in to Jennifer Aniston's DM like a young Ricky Henderson. And my God, Mike Obama caught him red-handed. And allegedly, this is all allegedly from the People's Magazine of, you know what? He might have just whacked Jennifer Aniston. So now I don't know if the kill is confirmed. I don't know if he got the bunk, but where there is a little heat, there's usually a little fire, baby. So Barack Obama is my nail gun of the week. If he did indeed cheat on Mike Obama, does that make him bisexual?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That's he might swing both ways. But
he might be throwing both. I mean, I know he banged his chef and he had to have him killed. But
yeah. What was that about? I don't think we haven't heard much about that story since it came out, Jordan. I don't know. Barack's might have some demons following him around.
I think he might, but if he did take down the friend star that is like a fine wine and Jennifer Aniston, you know what? Killing your chef aside, sometimes you just got to call a spade and just say that is nails.
It is. It's very nails.
So I got Barack Obama as my nail gun of the week. Azo, without further ado, let's send it over to Keels from Just Dishin. We had a great chat with the CEO and founder of Just Dishin. So, folks, it is always tape to tape in the pre-show. Love snapping around with the captain. D to D, no look. That was episode number 73 pre-show across your goddamn chin. Enjoy the interview. We'll see you next week. Woo! All righty, folks. Now introducing from the mean streets of Albion, New York. Folks, that is located between, Chippewa Street in Roch Nasty. Today, joining the show, we have a very, very special guest reporting live from the Rust Belt, the CEO, the founding father, the man, the myth, the legend himself behind the tinted visors over at Just Dishin. Folks, please welcome, without further ado, Matt Keeler to the Live in 5 podcast. Keels, what's shaking, baby?
What's up, boys? How we doing? Let's
Good
go.
to
What
see
an
you,
intro,
fella.
dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's Chicago Bull style. Sometimes I freestyle them. Sometimes I write them down. I just freestyled that one right off the cuff like I'm B-Rabbit and 8 Mile there. So, fella, it's good to see you. Last time I did see you, we were on the Chin in Buffalo over there at the Rec Room. You guys set us up well. You helped us out. You actually gave me a Ryan O'Reilly jersey to wear on stage that day. And you know what? That was awesome. I mean, for you guys to come over, not only check out the shop, but kind of just give us that full Buffalo experience, man. That goes a long way.
Yeah, appreciate that, bro. We got hooked up with Dan Meltzer. Shout out to Dan. He we had the back room with the boys at Rack. That was dope. And yeah, for you guys to come out and see the shop, kind of where we do everything, that was pretty cool. I love giving tours like that. So anytime I can bring you and Gooch out to see everything behind the scenes, that's pretty cool for me.
Yeah, it was awesome. You gave us the full rundown of just, you know, the lay of the land in Buffalo. You took us to, I wanted to check out a vintage shop. We went over there. And then obviously that sizzle reel you guys made for us was unreal. I mean, besides Gooch wearing the OJ Simpson jersey, it turned out pretty well. I think you guys maybe had to take that off your socials because you're like, yeah, we're doing something for the Sabres next week. I don't know if we can have the juice on the loose on our, you know, front and center on our page.
Yeah, that was true. I forgot about that. Yeah, way to go sometimes, right? Dude, you were real
100%.
specific. I loved your jersey choice too. Like you had that dialed in. I feel like even before you got the Buffalo, like, you know, you want to bring a little character with O'Reilly there. And I don't know, the fact I had that in the back of my closet, I think was all I needed to know.
That was so nasty. And I was like, wow, he's really going to let me wear this Ryan O'Reilly signed jersey. And God knows what's going to get on this, whether it's going to be Jaeger, Fireball, or just a bunch of Labatt Blues. But I made sure I took care of it for you, Keels, because it did mean a lot to me. And yeah, like I said, I was just like nervous the whole time because like, fuck, this is like it felt like you like almost just like sucker punched maybe a hanging on. Like it felt like it was like in a frame. It was that crispy, that jersey. Like it felt like you just took it right out of the frame and gave it to me. So yeah, that was sick. That whole show was crazy. I mean, you know, the people of Buffalo, they're nuts. And yeah, man, that was a good time. But what's been up lately? What have you been up to, fella? Like, what's the latest with Dishin? Talk to me on that front. I know you guys did that cool thing with CCM hockey in Montreal, but what's been on the horizon for Dishin? You guys are always buzzing.
Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, we've had a lot of collabs lately. So we came off that big New Era collab in October, and we've been running with that ever since. We've done a few with you know, some brands that are pretty special to us, alongside like What Chaos and the Gretzky Hockey School. Yeah, that one with CCM was pretty dope. We went out to Montreal last week and ran the whole retail activation for them. So we designed all the merch, did all the manufacturing, and then we shipped everything up to Montreal and sold everything on site. So it was pretty cool. Third time for them doing Hockey House, and they had us set up in an igloo. So pop-up style. And we were first time ever doing a pop-up in Canada like that. But yeah, everything's been good, bro. We've been just big off these collabs and you know, setting up some new goals and stuff for 2025 that I'm pretty excited about.
Keels, how do you set up these collabs? Like, do you know these guys beforehand, or are you sending like just cold call like emails, or are you just meeting them? Like, how do you create that relationship off the bat?
Yeah, that's a great question, I think, because it's all like relationship driven. I know Swish, like when we got hooked up, and I think it always starts as just like having a mutual respect for what each person is kind of doing in the sport. And, you know, and I'm sure we'll get into this about like talking about like culture of the sport and everything. But I think for right now, for us, it's kind of rare to find other brands in the space that are kind of moving at the same sort of vision that we have in hockey. So I feel like that's always like step number one. That's pretty easy. And then from there, a lot of it's just reach out. You know, we kind of have some mutual connections. Some of them are inbound to us, but yeah, I think it's all organic. It's all natural. It's just like us kind of connecting with like-minded people within hockey that want to do the same type of stuff. And from there, it's kind of off and running on what the ideas look like.
For sure. And you guys have always been fashion forward, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. But I wanted to ask you, Keels, you know, you've done some pretty cool collabs over the years, whether it's with, you know, coming up with Gretzky Hockey School. You guys are going to do some things. You've done New Era, which I thought was really dope. If there's like one white buffalo out there, no pun intended, or a company you're looking maybe at a vision to collab with, like for you, who would that be? Like, fuck boys, like we really made it now. I mean, obviously all these have been really cool, but it's like you see that Kith times Bauer. Like, is that something you guys would want to line up with Kith, or is there like that one brand out there that you're like, wow, like that's our goal for 2025, or just, you know, sometime further down the road?
That's another great question, Swish. I think, I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm a huge fan of Nike and Jordan, their brand, everything that they're doing right now with the band Jordans. I think just like the marketing behind that is genius. So I would say like top of my list is probably Jordan brand, and kind of just doing anything with them because like, I don't know, back 2020, like I think the Jordan skates like was like our first viral piece we ever did. That put us on the map, and just like that was like kind of the evolution of the 3 eye smiley guys, just kind of encouraging people to see hockey from a new perspective. So once we did that, that kind of just maybe set the foundation of what we could do with Nike, just kind of beyond that within hockey and in fashion. But I think another one too is like I've always wanted to work with Bieber. I've like seen his influence on the sport growth as a whole, just like when he designed the All-Star jerseys last year. Just kind of his pulse on the game and just like relationships he has with Mats and Nylander and some guys that we have some crossover with already. I think that would be pretty dope and probably be one that's up on the top of my list. He just launched a new brand aside from Drew, which is called Skylark, and they're starting to do more footwear. It's kind of like a new evolution Yeezy, I would say. And speaking on that too, I would always just love to like make our own skate. So maybe that's some sort of collaboration that exists, is kind of taking the skate boundary a little bit further.
So when you guys did that collab with Nike, was that actually with Nike with the skate? Like, did you have to get like naming?
Yeah, we just made that. We
because those are sick.
Thanks, dude. Those are fucking crazy. Like we it's a crazy story of how they actually came together too. Like I got a buddy of mine in Lockport, which is not too far from me where I grew up, that his name's Coda Customs. He makes a bunch of cleats for NFL guys. He made some for like Derrick Henry and does a lot of guys like throughout the year. And dude, I was banging on his door for like 2 or 3 years just saying like, dude, we got to make a Jordan skate. Like we got to just come up with the pattern, the silhouette, like we can make this happen. And he was like, dude, we can't drill into the composite, the boot, this and that. And one day I just dropped off a pair of skates, a pair of tacks at his house. And I'm like, dude, we're going to find a way to bring these to life. And sure enough, we hit it hard for the next few months and we had the Jordan 1s made. And it was a time during COVID, dude. We made them in, I want to say like winter of 2020. So like rinks were closed and shit at the time. So we like snuck onto this outdoor rink, Riverworks, and we buzzed around there, and we shot the content. And Nick will tell you it's probably some of the shittiest work that he thinks he's ever done. But that was the piece that just blew up for us. It put us on Barstool, Complex, Hypebeast, like all these different outlets, and just felt like that was a great foundation for our brand. Kind of to show people what we were doing in hockey.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing that I always thought was cool, and I think how I discovered you guys, I mean, obviously I saw those skates. I was like, wow, that would be so nasty at having hockey. And then I saw, obviously, like you guys throw up the white old Fedorov skates. Like those were always so juicy. But the one thing I love that you guys did, Keels, and you still do it, is when you throw out like the guys walking in like a fashion game, they call them in the NHL. Obviously, the NBA is just another game day. When you're walking to the red carpet, people are taking pictures, you're getting out of the car, and you're walking into the arena. I love when you guys like freeze frame it and then break down the fit. So it's like Dior shoes and they got Louis up top. And then it's just like, you kind of go from there. Maybe they got the little, drawstring bag across, like the little fanny pack, but it's designer, it's Gucci. You guys always do such a good job with like breaking that down and the prices. Who's kind of the inspiration behind doing that? Is that you doctoring that up, or is that the other boys? Like, talk to me on that front, baby.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, that's me with a lot of inspiration and help from the boys too. My boy Jared helps me out with a lot of that stuff, and I got some other boys that are pretty keen on fashion and stuff. But I feel like it's really like kind of helped me sharpen my skills, and that was back during the bubble, dude. Like you guys remember, like no dress code, drop all that, non-mandated, and even the Yotes were doing that for a while too, which was cool to see. But that was just like pretty cool for us to be able to be on the forefront of that, and that was really when I just started, I think, getting more interested in fashion brands and kind of what these guys were wearing. Obviously like Kith had a big, I think, influence into that, and a lot of just guys that are wearing like just regular Jordans that was kind of able to be dressed down. And yeah, for me, it was just fun to be able to like, yo, what's that pullover he's wearing, or what's that bucket hat, and just kind of researching that a little bit more.
And Keels, like when you're looking at different brands out there, and you're looking and you're surfing around just trying to draw inspiration from, what are some of the top brands you're drawing inspiration from that not only you love, but you can take over to Dishin and kind of, just not steal ideas, but like, wow, I really like how that looks. I'll maybe spin it off something.
Yeah. You guys ever heard of Kid Super?
No.
Swish, you would like the brand a lot. You guys both would. It's dope, but I think it's like a great representation of our brand and what we're trying to do is just because it's run by this kid Colm Delaney, and he's based out of Brooklyn, and they just do like it just seems like they do everything, bro. They're like a media agency slash brand. They do like he just had a song come out with Quavo. It's pretty dope, and I feel like that's kind of like a huge inspiration that I pull from, just as far as like there's really no limit to I think what we can do under the brand. Like one day we'll work on something with like an NFL player. We'll do something for Josh Allen, and then the other day we'll be doing stuff with Dion. So kind of just like having a different range that we can show off, and I kind of pull inspo from different brands. Like yeah, Kith is a big one with me right now. Like all the stuff that OVO's been doing with Sherwood, that's dope too. Like and then just like Louis and I was a huge fan of Virgil and everything that he paved with the way in fashion, and I truly think nobody was doing anything at the same level that he was. So he's a huge inspiration to me that I pull from a lot of times. But I feel like a lot of it's just like finding individuals that like a brand that you like, for example, and just like kind of going and researching the founder and how they got their story and got started. That's pretty cool to me.
For sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of just founding and coming up with the idea, take us back, bro. Like, how did Dishin start up? Was it an idea out of college? Was it something that you were working different jobs before that? You're like, fuck, I got to get out of this cubicle. I got to try something else. I got to try my real passion. So how was like the idea of Dishin? How did it become a reality? Like, what were the early days like?
Yeah, dude, we founded in 2012, which seems like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was this I don't know, man. I've always kind of felt the same, like even till now, till day one, like just felt like I don't know, always been interested in art, always been really interested in fashion and hockey. Those are kind of like my three things, and there's nothing in the market that really serviced those at all. So I would just like from the early days, like first we made 3 different shirt designs, and I don't know what I was doing at the time. I was just getting hooked up with a screen printer in Batavia where I went to school, and just was like experimenting, doing different shit, like making stuff, and those had a quick jump for us. We sold out on those pretty quick right away, and then from there I went to school in Rochester at St. John Fisher and studied business out there, and I took an accounting class that I bombed like 3 times. I just failed out every time, and I couldn't figure it out. And I had this one professor, Dr. Copeland was her name, and she really took me under her wing in college, bro. And she was just trying to figure out what I was doing, what my passions were, why I couldn't just like figure out this class to pass it. And she got me hooked up in a bunch of business plan competitions. So looking back, that was huge for me because I was able to build like the business plan model, all that stuff was just like kind of projected me into where we are right now when we moved to Buffalo 7 years ago and have been headquartered here since. So those early days are pretty crucial, I think. And looking back, it's not really something that I, really took too much stock in at the time. I was just kind of trying to navigate through school and playing hockey and stuff. But it's pretty cool to see where it's kind of put us now and just kind of gave us a little bit more experience.
Is Dishin something you can even like have a business plan for, because you're doing so many different things? It's creative. Like, how much is the plan changed? Like when you put together a business plan, you got like a 5-year, like what do we want to look like in 5 years? I can imagine that changed. So like, do you follow your business plan, or is it kind of just go with the flow?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a mix of both. We have like a strategy that we try and stay within and do, but yeah, I mean, like looking back to it, like that plan when we originally founded it, I think it's ever changing, dude. Like when we first got going, we were doing stuff like we were making Sabres tees and just doing stuff around like the local market. And I got to the point where we were just like, we can't live or die by the success of the team. And for us to impact the growth of our brand. And that's kind of when we just kind of started to spin off a little bit and just kind of be more true to like our passions and interests. That's where we really got more heavily involved in like the streetwear scene of really just like launching our brand within hockey that, we want to make sure that's cool. And, by that, I think other people will think it's dope too. So I think, yeah, that's a great question too, bro. Like, I think as like time goes on, like I get less and less confined to like structure and what we have to do and routine, and just more so it's just like, what can we do as within the sport to creatively infuse it more, but also do stuff that just like we as people on our team just think is dope.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think just the way you guys have moved, the way you guys have been able to bring that NBA, that street culture, that just new age kid into hockey. It's just something you don't see, and especially a white collar sport. You see the old heads in there. Yeah, you know, you're shopping at Brooks Brothers, you're going over to maybe a spot like Banana Republic, and it's non-traditional. And you walk in with the baggy jeans and an oversized tee and a cool hat with a logo like you guys have on. It's just innovative, Keels, and it's the one of the only, or probably the OG of the crossover between street culture and hockey. So if you're explaining to the listeners, like, what is Dishin? Like, it's obviously a lifestyle. It's more than just an apparel company. Like, it's a vibe, bro.
Appreciate that, dude. Yeah, Swish, you guys get it, and that's what I really appreciate. It's just like, you know, I feel like we're Swish. You guys probably feel like this a lot too. It just kind of feels like we're always like 5 years early to the party. And, you know, I think like different brands and whatnot are starting to catch up and like do more within streetwear, that we're seeing like Bauer and Kith and OVO and Sherwin, a lot of these like different brand crossovers. But yeah, it's just something that we want to strive to change hockey every day. It's like kind of our mantra is see the game differently. So that's kind of where the 3i comes into play a little bit, and just leaning into that a little bit. I think you know, it's funny because like you think about like, you know, like non-mandating the dress code, doing all these stuff that are kind of like non-regulating the game a little bit. But at the same time, I think it's a fine line between respecting the traditionalism of the game and the camaraderie and like the team atmosphere and culture. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we could go all out and be like, you know, streetwear, like pushing all this shit. But like at the same time, like I think there's a respect with the game that comes from it too. And just like, you know, kind of being involved in that is something that I don't think like an outsider would really understand unless you like play hockey and grew up around the sport too. And I would be interested to hear what you guys think of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you how much blowback you got initially coming out with a brand like this, like yours in hockey, like Swish was just saying, is kind of like no one else is doing it, right? So like you had to have dealt with some blowback. Like you're like, hey, we want to make this stuff for hockey players, and you got to have some old heads being like, that ain't hockey. You know, we wear suits and ties here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt, dude. And especially we launched a skins brand, skate skins, like 2020 as well. And that was like right around the time we were doing the Jordan skates too. And that was the same type of thing. It's just like skates, dude. Like I could put 3 skates on the table right now, and like somebody off the street, you wouldn't be able to tell which one of the top guys in the league are wearing, because they're all wearing the same thing, whether it's a Bauer, CCM, like they all look the same. There's no differentiation. So that was the whole thing. We just want to like bring more color and like creativity to the skate itself, and that we got crazy pushback from that, bro. That was just like some of the craziest trips I've ever seen. That were just like, we would crack up, we still crack up at them, and it's just like, that's just the type of the shit, you know, like at first, like I don't know, and the older I get to, the more I just like don't really care. You guys the same way, I'm sure. Like you just brush it off, move on. Like it's just, that's kind of the world we live in, I think, a little bit, where I don't know, people just want to bash, and people are extremely protective, I think, over the game too, which I totally get. But yeah, we get pushback like that all the time, and I think it just comes with it, you know, kind of is what it is.
Yeah, especially when you're doing something different, something people have never seen. People don't like change. People don't like things that are different, especially when you're moving the needle like you guys are. Keels, I wanted to ask you, like, I've had this thought, and I've brought it up on various different shows and pods. Like, why don't you think McDavid or Matthews has their own skate? Now, in the NBA, 15 to 20 guys maybe have their signature shoe. I don't think it could be close to a number like that. But don't you think when you went into a hockey shop as a kid, you saw the McDavid ones or the A-Mats 34 signature boot? Don't you think with that customization, like kids would buy that? And people always say the skate is so expensive, but I don't know how much necessarily more that would cost to get a signature boot or skate for these guys. I just think that's such a way to move the needle in hockey and get more creative with the skate, because the skate has just been so generic forever.
Dude, I 100% agree, man. And it's just crazy that these, like, a lot of times we've seen, like, we'll call them signature skates that we've seen equipment companies drop over the past couple of years, and all they're doing is changing the graphics. They're not changing like the actual silhouette of the boot. And I think there's a lot that goes into it, and this is just my opinion, but I think that there's such small margins between what these equipment companies are making and what their bottom line is that, are they going to make 5,000 pairs of a a Matthew skate and like bring that to market and then like just test it and see how it sells, or are they gonna like ease into it a little bit and just like, because you guys know like these companies, they operate so slow, like they're on like three
Yeah.
5 year windows, and for us that's where like we've seen the most success, I think, is like how nimble we can be and just be like, oh, okay, we have an idea, like what's our realistic timeline for this, maybe 3 months, like we can turn shit around like really fast. And I think that's what's been appealing to, us working with other brands, and especially just like some more NHL work we've been starting to do, which is cool too. But that's a great point, bro. And I think about that all the time. It's just like you think about, and that's why I bring up Nike and Jordan, and just like their origin story of like Nike and Jordan, they would fucking just like eat the fines, bro, and just like say, yo, you're gonna wear these on the court,
Mhm.
like, and we'll worry about it later. And just like Air, like that entire movie is just like so
Yeah.
inspiring. And I think, and there's so much room for that within hockey right now. And um, that's just something I want to do, and our goal that I have for 2025 as well is just like we're making like our own silhouette for a skate. And I want it to be kind of like a mix of like, I'm thinking like a Balenciaga, like an upper, and then like our own silhouette that's kind of like a one that like is like the actual boot itself. And there's a lot of shit that goes into it, bro. There's a lot of patents and stuff that you got to get around, and then like ultimately like the functionality of the boot too, like how it's going to compare and weight and all that too. So it's been a lot of work, but it's been a fun project to just kind of share that vision and just like execute with something that we want to bring to life and see exist in the sport.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really sick, and I might have to circle back on, because I just had this idea come to my head, and especially if I'm on the outdoor rinks a little bit, I want a boot with some fur on it. How sick would that be? I want a little I want a little chinchilla or a little fox or something. How sick would it if you had a little fur lining? Like some of those
Oh,
Jordan shoes or Nike shoes that have the fur on them. How sick would that be? Just a little fur lining. Oh my
imagine the
God.
old heads if Amats has got some fur on the boots playing for the
Oh my
Leafs.
God.
They'd have a heart attack. It'd be unbelievable.
Just bringing players ball vibes to the sheet. Like that would be so sick. Like if you went into like a Winter Classic game with some fur boots, how sick would that be?
Imagine, dude.
Yeah.
That would
Oh
be
my
so
God.
nails.
That would
Those
be
are-
so nails.
There's so much opportunity and possibility like that, bro. And that's the thing. It's like hoops, like there's so many different shoes, like foam posits, like those weatherman foam posits. Like there's some crazy shit in the league that you kind of see every day. It's just
Yeah.
it's like so much opportunity with our sport like that.
Yeah, for sure. Keels, when you're talking about, I always like asking, like, and Jordo, you can answer too, because you guys are creative. I'd like to say more creative than me, but what people don't understand is they think, you're just naturally creative and they can't be creative. But I've watched some documentaries on artists, it could be our, rapper or whatever, or just people who are creative. And it's not necessarily they have the talent, it's just they're trying more things than everyone else. Like they're just, if you count their failures, they got so many of them. So I guess my question for you would be like, how many things have you came up with and like creative been like, oh, this actually sucks. Like I got to move on.
Yeah, a lot, dude. Definitely more than success we've had. That's for sure. Like, yeah, and that's it's a great way to put it, dude. Is like as a creative, you're just like making shit and trying new things, and that's just like kind of the evolution of our brand, and me as a person, I think too, is just making shit that I want to see that I think is cool. And it's like having the shop is amazing because like we got the shop, like I like working late at night, and like to live above the shop too is just like even better because I can just like pop down here if I got an idea, I can cook it up. But yeah, ever since like my inspiration and creativity is definitely something that I feel like as I've gotten older, I like feel like I prioritize a little bit more, and I like almost protect it more because I'm like just having a kid now, bro. It's just like it's a lot of like your energy focus transfer shift is like just like almost in something else, but like you still as a person you want to grow and evolve too. So like I feel like now within my passion that I do within the brand, like I'm like nurturing that as much as possible because I know like when I have 3 5 hours to lock in on a project on a design, like I need to make sure that's like some of the best work that I'm doing. And I feel like what goes along with that as well is just like I'm able to pull inspiration from so many more things now, like with my daughter being born, like there's just like that I've always thought about like my creations in the sport and under the brand that are just been like, so amazing. But that's like a creation that's like of a different power, I think. And I think
Mhm.
there's so much inspiration that you can pull from that. It's just like seeing an ultimate creation of another human, I think is pretty cool. And just like kind of infusing that into our brand and the work a little bit more is something that, I've been pretty thankful and fortunate for, I think too.
For sure.
Isn't it crazy too when you drop some heat that you think is really cool and nobody buys it, or it's a funny
Yeah.
video, or it's a cool video that nobody watches? Like Keels, we dropped those all-star tees and I sold like 6 of them. And I
Yeah.
thought those are sick. Like, so
I
like,
thought those were all time.
like
Dude,
folks,
yeah.
I'm an all-star and I'm talking to Keels. I'm like, bro, we order, X amount of these. I can't even move any of these. We're both trying to sell them. It's just like, and we thought those were really cool, but it's just
For
like,
real.
they are cool, but nobody bought them. It's just,
know.
isn't it wild how that works, man?
It is, man, for sure. I know, and that's what I mean. Like, I feel like some of our best work, some of the times, like, just kind of like goes under the radar like that. And some of
Mhm.
the worst stuff that we like almost don't even want to put out there is the stuff that's more viral too. And I don't know, you see like the grid change on IG, how everything's like it's all vertical now, and like I love horizontal work. I love like the pristineness of that, like horizontal videos, like old documentaries, shit like that. Like, and I don't know, I love like the preservation of all that type of stuff too. So yeah, bro, you hit the nail on the head. I think it's stuff like that where like you think something's gonna bang and bop, and then it can flop, So, but I don't know.
Does it ever bother you guys? Like, do you ever create something? You're like, this is average. We'll put it out there, and then like you're just like, fuck, people love it. It's like, why do they like this? Like, has that ever happened to you guys? Like,
Oh yeah.
what the hell is going on? Like, why do they like this so much? It's average.
Yeah, for sure. I know, and that I know it's a fine line because like that could be a huge popular piece for you and can be a representation of their brand and maybe something that people like will know you on for forever. So like, and that's the thing too. I think it's like every time that you post something or put something out on social, like the more that people see that, they're making their own like visual representation of identity of what they think of your brand. So yeah, bro, that's a great point too. Is like and like I don't know. Like I said, the Swish too, and Swish, we were talking about this when we dropped those. It's like almost feels like we're super early to the party because like if people saw those and maybe it's like 5-10 years from now where like the game
Yeah.
is like so much younger, then it would just like explode, I
And,
think. But it is what it is.
and I had so many like young kids, not only that were playing in that all-star game, but kids in the AHL, high draft picks playing college, and maybe even junior players reach out and be like, wow, those are sick. I love that. Like, that's the coolest shirt I've seen. But it's like, not only are they not going to buy them, it's like the guys in the game. I try to have a couple guys wear them like in and around Toronto for that all-star game. We're like, it's a little loud right now. It's like, loud, dude. You were walking in with the highlighter colors 2 days ago. It's like, so it's just funny how that works. But even going back to like clips too, like you'll drop a banger clip and it'll get 500 views, and then you'll drop like a very average clip that you don't think's funny, then somehow it gets in the algorithm, it gets spinning, it gets like over 100,000 views. It's like, what? Or you know what I mean? It's just it's weird how you basically just got to keep shooting whatever, like,
Yeah.
as an artist, like you just whatever you think is cool, at least I've found, I just release it and just see what the world thinks.
You gotta, bro, because that's you. That's like shit that you want to put in the world, and like people will fuck with it. The more that you put out stuff like that and are true and authentic to yourself, it reciprocates really well, I think.
For sure. And even just going like to what Dishin is like right now, you guys have the skate wraps, the tinted visors are unbelievable. I think that would be hilarious if guys wore them just because it's just such a clean look. I mean, I wore one on stage at the Buffalo show. The merch, the content, like if you're looking at just like different things, how you guys are moving the needle, what has been the most successful? Is it the skate wraps, the tinted visors, or the merch? Like, or is it just all kind of combined? Like, if you're hanging your hat on one thing right now, like, is Dishin known for one thing, or is it just for everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think the skins and bubble stuff is definitely like a good residual order flow, like a needle mover for us, and just like everyday order type stuff that we can keep up with and push the culture that way. And then like the Dishin brand is like, I think sky's the limit with stuff like that and what we can create and what we can do. And a lot of times those are the projects that are most prideful to me because, it's where we're able to collaborate with the Blackhawks and sell to the Red Wings team store and just like kind of do stuff like everything we've been talking about is like there's no rules or no boundaries. We can kind of just do whatever we want to see exist. And I think like I'd love to move Dishin. Like I think it'll always be like hockey rooted and foundation there, but like doing like more like overall fashion type pieces, like working with different artists and celebrities and different athletes and stuff like that is something that I really love to do. And that's like some of the stuff that I think is like coolest to me.
Mhm.
For sure. And just like other brands, like collab wise, like have you ever been in touch with like Mitchell and Ness about doing like jerseys? I feel like you guys could do nasty like jerseys, like just like Buffalo related, old Sabre style jerseys. Is that something you've ever thought about doing?
Yeah, you fucking right, dude. Yeah, we just signed a 2-year deal with New Era again.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm really excited about that. And we've got a jersey we're working on with them right now. So they've never done a jersey before. So we've been working on like the silhouette of it, everything. And dude, you can imagine like trying to create a jersey that is authentic and doesn't look like something else is damn near impossible.
Mhm.
When you just
For
look at
sure.
like, and I was drawn to like there were two jerseys in specific to me that I really wanted to lean into as far as like silhouette was the Thrashers and the Coyotes. I like had this old school Thrashers like CCM with a thick collar. So we brought that into production. We shipped it overseas, getting it made right now. And then the other one was the Yotes too, just with like the Kachina and just like kind of leaning into that like pattern of the striping, if you will. And yeah, so when we get off, I'll send you what we're working on right now, you guys, because I want to see what you guys think. But yeah, jersey is definitely something that I'm excited about that we're
Yeah.
gonna release the new era that we're gonna be doing pretty soon.
How do you guys start that process? Like when you want to make something creative, like a jersey or something. How do you begin that creative process? Like you're just like, okay, I want to create an authentic jersey, and then you just start drawing shit and just putting stuff together, messing with stuff. Like how long does that process take? Is it sometimes quick? Does it always take a long time? I guess I'm just interested in hearing about that.
Yeah, it just always feels like we never have enough time because like especially with a jersey too, like there's just like so many different ways that you can go. Like do you want to do home or away? That's kind of like where I started and like I couldn't even decide on that because like I wanted to do something that was like some guys said they want to see a dark and some guys wanted to see a white. So we ended up going with like a cream. And that's why I'm kind of glad we did that because it kind of like throws it back to heritage a little bit. It's like more classic. But I just try and like with projects and stuff like this, I just try and like work backwards, I think, and just thinking like, okay, let's just dumb it down as much as possible. Like, what do we want the color palette look like, silhouette, and I feel like from there, like once we're able to build that out a little bit, then the logo started to come together, like what numbers we were gonna do, because that was another thing is like do we do 25 or do we switch it up a little bit and do something that's like a little bit more different? So yeah, there's a lot of, especially with the jersey, brother. I think there's a lot that goes into it, and it's definitely one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because also you have like a week and a half or 2 weeks to get it done in order to like meet the timeline that we're working with too.
Mm.
Keels, I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about your beloved Buffalo Sabres. I mean, the Buffalo Bills took one on the chin at Arrowhead last week. And you know what? The Buffalo Sabres, they're just mucking again. The Key Bump Arena and all the good folks that deserve better there. What's the latest in Buffalo? What's the latest on Chippewa? What is the vibe around the team? Is it just the same song and dance? Or do we have any sort of fucking hope for the future?
Oh man. Well, I can tell you it's been like almost felt the same for like the past 5 years, I will say. Like it doesn't feel any worse. It doesn't really feel any better. And with that, it's just we're just kind of this. You guys know the city is like so hopeful and like they just want
Mhm.
to see a good team no matter what, and they will almost go to like extreme lengths to try and like show their passion for the team. And I hope that they can figure it out. I really like the team that they have. They have some great character guys like Tage, Ras, like those guys being the anchor of the team. Like I want them to be successful more than anything, and everybody does. It's you know as weird as it sounds, I think the Bills losing takes a lot of pressure off the hockey team because like this town is a hockey team at the end of the day. It's a football town too, but when both teams are buzzing, dude, it is a hockey town through and
Yep.
through. And I just think back to like growing up and coming to these games like 06, 07, Briere, Drury. Those just send a chill down my spine, bro, just thinking about it. And the fact that we've been deprived of those for 10 plus years is really tough, and it hurts the city. And just, it's it just is absolutely electric when the team is good. And I think about all the other stuff that comes with that too, is like you got national broadcasts here, you got like playoff coverage, you got like different light being shined on the city that people would never see before on a national stage. I think about all the like stuff kind of away from the ice and the rink that comes with that success too. And I want that for these guys more than anything. And I think they will figure it out and turn it around. We've seen stretches this year where they've been really good. I think their biggest challenge has been being consistent and sticking with that. And hopefully they can turn it around soon.
Man, that city is so passionate too. Like, there's so many good people, and I was just reminded of it last year when we went there. I obviously knew it, and I've been there before, but just being boots on the ground there, going to a game, and they weren't even any fucking good last year. And it's, you got the Pagulas, and now you got Lindy. I like it a little bit rough back in the mix. It's just like, can this team just get to the playoffs? And does it start with going back to the old black jerseys and the red? Is that the start of this? Because when that city has a good hockey team, it's unbelievable. It's best for the league when the Buffalo Sabres are good. Like, the amount of passion people have walking around talking about different line combos. Everyone knows every player on the team. It's one of the best hockey markets, Keels, in the country, as you know.
Yeah, and I think what's unique about this city, bro, is like the hockey intelligence here is really incredible, dude. Like, you'll go to a game and they'll just be like a family of four sitting behind you, and like they know like when a good play and when is not a good play. Like, and a good example is like we'll have good zone pressure for like 2 or 3 minutes, and like we'll have a goddamn standing ovation after that, because like fans know good hockey and like the good energy of the team and like the hard work and grittiness. I think the blue collar mindset that comes with that, like McDermott leans into that. I think Lindy and a lot of guys like here, it's hard not to be a part of that if you're not in this city. Like, it was 4 degrees last week, dude. You kind of like live and die by like the culture of this every day. So I mean, if you're part of the city, I think it's like we're kind of in it together type mind frame. And just like that was a cool thing for me that I think I picked up like over the past couple of years. It's just like how hockey intelligent this team is, because like, I don't know, there's different stuff that comes with that. You see like different people on Twitter and whatever that want to pretend that like they're GMs and stuff, but like, I don't know, at the end of the day, like people are passionate about the team, and that's not a bad thing. People want to see them be good.
Yeah, I remember we were there last year, and it was like, bro, like the sun hasn't been out in like 10 days. Like, can't we just get a win on a Saturday night for the Buffalo Sabres? Like, and for all the good people, it's just like, but you're right, man. And I hope, eventually it's going to get figured out there. It's just obviously not right now in the immediate future. My last question for you, Keels, is if you're sending someone for a pack of buffalo wings in Buffalo, where are you sending them, fella? And what sauce are you getting?
Dude, there's like well, where did you go when you were here? We went to Mother's, right?
I went to Mother's, Gate, and then where did we meet you at that one bar? It's not Kung Fu, but it's just off of Chippewa.
Bada Bing.
Bada Bing, yes.
Bada Bing. Bada Bing's really good.
Yep. So I went to Mother's. Obviously, that's where Gucci wheeled the waitress. Gabe's Gate, unbelievable spot for a matinee. Those wings were solid too. And then Bada Bing as well.
Yeah, for sure. Gabe's Gate is great. Great,
that's
like
that's a classic.
Party. Yeah, great spot. Really, just like a great atmosphere in there too. That's a lot of times like what I'm looking for when I go to different spots like this. Is just like, I don't know, kind of atmosphere overall. But shit, that's a good question, man. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. The boys are gonna watch this. They're gonna make sure I'm on my game with this. So
yeah. Like, it's not Anchor Bar, is it? Is it?
No. Anchor Bar is like, they got one. If you want to go there, you go to the one in the airport.
Yeah.
So these are like, you guys are talking about wings that are like, you can't find them anywhere else in the country. Like, these are the best wings in the country.
Oh, yeah. It's the OG spot of the buffalo wing is Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say to settle on one, I would say there's a place like around the corner from us that Nick and I really like. It's called Eddie Brady's. And it's like a little Irish pub. And we go there a lot. And we go there because they got free popcorn. So we're just like mucking out of the popcorn machine the whole time. But yeah, they got great food. They got great wings too. Just overall great spots right around the corner from the shop too. So Eddie Brady's would probably be my pick.
I had a Buffalo native, Anthony Day, tell me last year. He said Bar Bill in East Aurora is good, and then he also liked Duff's.
Yeah, those are great. Two great choices too. Barbill is. I'm glad you know Barbill because Barbill is like the undisputed. If you asked anybody in Buffalo that question, they would say Barbill. They got 2 locations, I think, out here, and like even all the players and stuff. Like that's definitely the go-to hotspot for wings. If you're asking anybody, they were part of our bubble hockey tournament, so we took all the boys there after the event and stuff. It was a lot of fun. That's a great spot as well.
Yeah, that's just, and then obviously Mother's Kitchen. It's not a wing spot, but my God, that place has a near and dear spot. That place is just like an old school supper club, isn't it? It's like one of the only places that, especially in a town like Buff, where it's not New York City, but you can go in there after a Sabres game, Keels, and get a steak at like midnight. That's what I loved about it.
Who told you about Mother's?
It was the same guy, Anthony Day. Shout out to
yeah,
Dazer.
nice.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, Mother's is a great spot, dude. It's very low key. And that's a lot of players go there after games and stuff. Just kind of get a bite to eat because it's open late. And same thing, dude. Atmosphere. It's all atmosphere. Makes a great restaurant like that, I think. So yeah, unbelievable spot. I love going there. We've been there a few times, and that's the thing about the city too, bro. There's not a lot of places to get food late at night.
No,
you got bars and stuff, like a lot of bars open late, but like good food like that, that's the spot to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny on Chippewa too. It's like it says it'll close at 4, but if people are feeling it, you can stay till breakfast. Like you can go right from Chippewa to Denny's is what I'm saying.
They don't close it down there, eh?
No.
I mean, if it's
so
4 or 5, like who's keeping count at that point, really?
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Oswald, you got anything else for Keels while we have him?
No, that was great, Keels. Thanks for the insight and the history at Dishin. It's obviously really cool what you're doing. I really respect it. Jordan and I love your stuff. So excited to see what's come. I hope Buffalo, I know how important it is for like some of these clothing brands and what you're doing for the city you're in to have a sports team, break out. So I'm hoping the Sabres or even the Bills can get it done one of these years.
Appreciate that, Ozzo. Yeah, it's me too, man. Because like we'll have you boys up here when the Sabres are buzzing in the playoffs, and it's just you guys know it's like a different vibe that comes with it, different energy that you can feel. Yeah, you live or die by that shit.
For sure. And Keels, I think we're trying to get up there sometime in March or April, kind of in and around when we were there last year. So we're just in contract negotiations with the rec room and a couple different places. So hopefully we'll get that lined up again, and we'll see you boys here soon.
Let's go. I'll dry clean that O'Reilly jersey for you.
Yeah, can you dust that thing off for me, fella?
Bust it out of the frame.
Oh, perfect. All right, bro. Well, that was awesome. Appreciate you stopping in to Live in 5. Obviously, it's good to see your chin, and we'll see you soon, brother. So thanks again.
Good looks, boys. Appreciate you guys.
Yep, folks, that was the CEO founder of Just Dishin, Matty Keeler.
Woo! Little demon in the cut. You mean? Go raiding at the church. You moving wrong, we clutch. You slime, we sharing sluts. No cap. Real rap, I'm